The detector models Lorenz Deepmax X5 and X6 can both be used with a wide range of search coils, from small single or induction balanced double D to large frames with single or differential measuring technology. The Deepmax X6 also offers a GPS-supported data logging function, which facilitates the generation of color and contour maps in a matter of a few minutes with a computer. It only takes a few minutes to put on the belt and shoulder straps of the LORENZ Deepmax. Adjust the straps to comfortable lengths and mount the electronics unit in front of the operator on the hooks provided. The X6 is supplied with the GPS USB model, and this is also fixed in front of the operator on the shoulder strap and connected to the coil. The external battery pack is connected to the electronics unit. The Deepmax is now ready for use. To turn on the LORENZ Deepmax, press the power button. Within a few seconds, the detector runs through a display check sequence and will reset various functions. Before commencing detection, the detecting search head must be held horizontally about 1 meter above the ground, whilst the GB button is pushed once. This first tuning step will be accompanied by several high beep sounds. For the second step, the coil must be placed on the ground whilst the GB button is pushed a second time. Several lower beep sounds and an arrow pointing to the ground on the display will indicate that the unit is tuning itself to the ground. The detector is now ready for use, and the coil can be moved from side to side in a systematical manner. If the unit was accidentally tuned whilst holding it over a buried metal object, the whole tuning process must be repeated, as otherwise misleading readings will occur. In addition to all functions available with the Deepmax X5, the Deepmax X6 is also equipped with the data logger function and the necessary GPS USB hard and software. Turn on the Deepmax with the power button. During the electronic self-checking sequence, all the icons will be illuminated. An automatic two-step ground balance tuning process is necessary. Step 1. Hold the coil horizontally above the ground, avoiding any metal. Press the GB button and wait for several high beep sounds whilst observing the coil icon and the arrow pointing upwards. Once the arrow is pointing downwards, perform step 2 by lowering the coil to the ground and pressing the GB button once again. After a few seconds, the low beep sounds will stop and the arrow icon will disappear, showing that the tuning process is complete. It is also possible to alter the ground settings manually by turning the G1 or G2 controls during operation. A number will indicate the setting. Finding the position with the lowest audio or bar graph indication is relatively easy. To open a menu, press the menu control until a function icon starts to flash. Rotate the same control to choose the required operation mode. Rotate the select control to alter the parameters. Delay settings 1 to 4 offer sensitivities for a range of different metals without affecting the indication of magnetic ground. Ground settings compensate for heavily mineralized soils containing plenty of magnetic iron oxides. The filter will reduce the amount of noise received from power lines or radio transmitters. Higher filter settings reduce response speed and are only suitable for large frame coils. The self-adjusting auto function should be activated, position 1, when the effects of drift caused by temperature changes or changing ground conditions are present. It should be deactivated, position 0, to improve sensitivity when using larger frames. Sensitivity. 1 is the lowest sensitivity, 5 the highest sensitivity. 0 turns off the loudspeaker, 9 is very loud. The D-log on the Deepmax X6 activates the data logger function. The frequency selector should be set to reduce the interference from power lines or radio's transmitter. Choose a position giving low noise, little bar graph indications and weak audio response. Audio controls the initial tick rate from silent -9 to a continuous tone +9. For most applications, a setting near 0 is suitable. Light adjusts the backlight of the display from 0 off to 9 bright. Tone provides two dynamic ranges, analog and logarithmic. In the analog mode, the audio frequency rises quickly to the highest tone, and in the logarithmic mode, the audio frequency will rise quickly initially and subsequently slowly to the highest tone even if the metal is close to the coil, thus improving pinpointing. Use the menu and select controls to select the desired modes and the required values. Press 0 to leave the menu and store the settings, which will also be available the next time you turn on the unit. Here are three examples using a 35 cm double D coil to show some possibilities available for determining ferrous and non-ferrous indications. Small coins, thin plates and folio give very fast settling eddy currents. Very low values together with non-ferrous are displayed. Ferrous metal objects typically give values in the range 30 to 60. Occasionally, large ferrous metal objects will give a non-ferrous indication, however a reading between 50 and 60 indicates ferrous. Metal objects with a very long duration of the eddy currents, such as larger copper, silver or brass plates, will give very high values and a non-ferrous indication. Before working with the Deepmax X6 data logger function, it is necessary to tune the unit to the ground. First, turn off the data logger by setting D-log to 0 and perform the two-step ground balancing procedure. Afterwards, turn on the data logger and with D-log set the required settings for meter, track, field and heading. The meter displays the remaining distance to the end of the track. The track indicates the number of the present track. The field shows the number of the field currently being investigated. The heading, in conjunction with the direction under the bar graph, indicates the direction the operator is walking. It is therefore possible to see if the tracks are parallel. To start with a new field, press 0 once and start walking along the first track. Press the 0 button repeatedly at the end of the first track in order to store the data. Walk backwards for the next track, pressing the 0 at the beginning and end of the track. Try to walk in a straight line and at a constant speed. On completion of the last track, press GB to store the complete field data onto the USB stick. Insert the USB stick in the computer. Color and image maps can be generated with just a few clicks using the already installed Surfer and Scripter software. 6 different maps will be generated simultaneously when covering the ground with multiple tracks. Each scan or map is different depending on the electronic analysis method and therefore will not only show several sensitivity ranges but can be the key to determining the likely kind of metal buried in the ground.